every single word you speak came from somewhere. The words we use for ourselves, our mothers, our sisters, came from the people in the past who held the power. And unfortunately, for most of history, that has been men. That balance between men and women, powerful and powerless, can be seen in the words master and mistress. They should mean the same thing, two sides of the same coin, but they don't. A master of something is powerful, in control, while all a mistress conjures up is an illicit love affair, and the woman is rarely in control there. So why are they so different? Let's go back to the beginning. Where did the word woman even come from? And it's actually a high note. We don't get a ton here. If I gave you a moment to think about it, which I won't, you might come up with womb and man, with man as the norm and the extra bells and whistles of child rearing attached. Hooray for that. But that's actually not the case. Originally, man wasn't even a gender term, meaning something like person or human in today's speech. That was added to weave, or weaver, a much, much older word for woman, getting, wait for it, woman person. They were very straightforward in the 800s, apparently. Now, every word has a denotation and a connotation. A denotation is what it explicitly means. You look it up in a dictionary and that is what you would find. A connotation, on the other hand, is a little more nebulous. That's what it implies, or what you think of when it's said. For many words, though, just by being associated with women, their connotation became negative. That's what happened to the word mistress. There was no room for a woman in power in many people's minds at the time. So it was degraded until an almost ironic opposite of itself. One victim of that negative connotation is the word gossip. Now, gossip is already highly gendered. Only women gossip in books, usually over the neighbor's fence, and it is never a good thing. But when gossip emerged from Old English, gossip emerged from the Old English godsip, or godsibling, which would go on to become words we're more familiar with, like those fairy godmothers and ominous godfathers. When a woman was giving birth, she would invite her godsibs, her closest female friends, to help her attend the birth and become the baby's godparents, something very important in a time with high mortality rates for young mothers. After the birth, they would stay in seclusion for several days, talking about their hopes for the child's future and making sure there were no complications. They would become the baby's godmothers. This intimate conversation with the godsibs became trivialized and discredited by men over time as an area they had no control over. What were they talking about in there? You can almost hear them say, nothing good, probably. God forbid women do anything in the 16th century. Yet another victim of this is the word wench. Nowadays, you'd only find it at a Renaissance fair or a certain type of fantasy novel, usually a busty girl pulling beer behind a bar. When it emerged in the 13th century, it meant an unmarried working woman. Usually some perceived a lower class job, like cleaning, cooking, or domestic work. That's it. After years of jeers and lewd remarks, though, it became the sexualized caricature we know today. The connotation, that expectation of an unprotected woman, completely swamped the word's actual meaning. It's not like we've lost some pure version we should go back to. That's just the way language changes, but you can use that change to track people's implications over centuries. And when it comes to women, it was rarely good. That's how thoughts will become baked into the language. A system of demeaning women will take hold, and then you've lost a word and you've gained an insult. and it's a surprise that things were ever any different. The connotation of today will become the denotation of tomorrow. That system doesn't just apply to connotation and denotation, though. Women are expected to express ourselves less forcefully than men, and are talked about differently. A woman can be hysterical or upset, but rarely angry. There's a whole group of adjectives used almost exclusively by women. Words like charming, lovely, or oh dear are designed to make our opinions seem wishy-washy and unimportant. Think back to the last movie you watched. Can you think of a male character saying charming unironically? I can wait. Those words seem kind of old-fashioned, though, don't they? I don't think I've heard anyone say, oh dear, outside of some periods. But those registers of speaking remain. The male register is powerful, assertive, in control, given dominating expressions and adjectives, while the female register is more passive and subdued. As women in power become more common, that male register becomes the norm. Women are taking that and making it their own, and oh dear is replaced by oh god. However, that has not happened in the other direction. Only the male register is becoming the norm, showing the lack of importance and relevance given to female speech in the past. That system, it's not just how we're expected to talk. It's not just how we're expected to talk, but how we are talked about. We tend to talk around words we're uncomfortable with and make them pretty or neat, getting expressions like restroom, time of the month, or lady. We build these barriers in our minds and make it harder to deal with things seriously in the future. Take the words woman and lady. Lady seems more formal, classier even. Talk like a lady or be a lady. It's ironic, therefore, that lady is attached to perceived lower class work, like cleaning lady. It's become an almost condescending opposite of itself, overly neat. If you were to call a congresswoman a congress lady, it would sound like you were trying to insult her. Now, that becomes especially noticeable when you realize that there is not an equivalent expression for men. Ladies and gentlemen rolls off the tongue, but I've never heard of a handy gentleman or a delivery gentleman because there's no barrier in our minds to seeing them in all places. They don't need to be prettied up the way women sometimes are. Now, let's take another look at our old friends, master and mistress. Mark is a master, is a sense that rolls off the tongue. He could be a master of finance or a master of disguise, one of my favorite expressions. Change the gender, though, and say Mary is a mistress. And suddenly the sentence doesn't make as much sense. It begs one question. Whose mistress is Mary? A mistress can only hold a domestic or sexual power, not the actual power of a master. And there goes my hope of Mary, Mistress of Disguise, coming to theaters near you. Just to complete the sentence and make it make sense, Mary must be possessed. But why do women need someone else to finish their sentences? Why have so many words become demeaning to their very core? And why have we forgotten this? Now, it makes you think about what we leave behind. What careless, inconsequential thoughts become codified for later generations? The language changes us, but we change it right back. And yet, so few people think about the forces that created it. It's the light we see by, not the object. So, the next time you find yourself saying something, and you don't quite know where it means, or where it came from, try and find out. And more importantly, see if there's a better word you could use. Words have power. And I believe it is our responsibility to use that power better than the people of the past did. And I, for one, don't plan on letting anyone else finish my sentence. Thank you.